All right, we made it. What is happening? Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Buck Reising here with you until 1 o'clock. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to not do the whole intro thing because we're a little late to get going today, and we got a guest on the line, the queen herself. Dianna Russini of ESPN is hanging out here with us to start the show. Good morning, friend.
Hello. The title of queen is a very big responsibility. So I would like to downgrade to something else like housekeeper Diana, something very small in the castle.
Okay.
The crown is too heavy for this head.
All right. Well, listen, Teresa Walker's been wearing it here locally for a long time, so I'm surprised she didn't, chastise me on social media. I'm sure I'll get a text here in a minute about it, but we're happy to have you here. There's a lot going on. Your morning seems like it's been fairly hectic with all this wide receiver talk.
It really has been. Every single time I wake up, I think today's going to be a quiet day in the NFL. I can take it easy, maybe actually go to the gym. It doesn't happen. So that's actually my excuse. That's what I tell myself. So I don't make myself feel too bad. But yeah, you look around the league right now, and obviously the wide receiver market has changed completely. Money is flying around. It's been happening for the last 2 months. And, obviously we see Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, you see the numbers that they're getting. And of course, those receivers that are in their third year and under contract for one more, they want to get those extensions. And the three big names that we see right now that make sense is obviously, Tennessee's A.J. Brown, you have 49ers Deebo Samuel, and Washington's Terry McLaurin, who I can make a very, very, very strong case for all three of them that they deserve to be paid very well from those organizations.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing, Diana. Like, you and I have talked about this off the air. Like, the idea, at least just to keep it local, AJ's not going anywhere. This has been a month and a half of this nonsense. And, as long as there's not a contract done, it'll continue to be a part of the news cycle. And he likes to tweet, so it's going to stay as a part of the news cycle. But like this, we are dealing with some kind of ridiculous widespread panic here locally about the fact that A.J. Brown's in his feelings on Twitter. And I don't get why people are bent out of shape.
I think people get upset because they think, what if he holds out? What if we have a season without him? And then I would say to those people, well, he's going to rack up a lot of fines and eventually probably give in because he's not going to want to have to pay all of that. Nor does he have the money for all that because it adds up. It's a lot. From what I can gather from conversations I've had with sources, both sides are working towards a deal. They're trying to extend him. They're trying to keep him in Tennessee for a really long time. I don't think this is a situation where the front office of the Tennessee Titans are looking at this going, we're going to let him walk, or, we'll trade him. Everything I can gather has been they want to keep him. And even, John Robinson was very open about how they want to make sure that he's not traded. Mike Vrabel went on Rich Eisen last week and said, we love him. As long as he's the head coach, they're not trading him. So,
and how tough it is to get Mike to say something nice about people.
When I first heard that soundbite, that actually is what really prompted me to think, man, AJ's not going anywhere. Because I've never heard coach talk like that about any player. And I think some of that is on purpose. I think he understands there's a business to this. And, as a former player himself, he gets it. So he's always pretty kept everything close, to the vest there. And he, by the way, I just realized vest, he wears a vest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Funny. No, everybody had the same image going through their head, that and the chest pad. We miss the pro days for exactly that reason. Mike hasn't been getting in the mix the way he used to.
That's getting older, all of us. So, I think that this is going to work out. I think it will. I'm more curious about the timing of when this will work out. I mean, are we talking before OTAs? Are we talking before training camp? They do not want to go an off season without AJ part of their program, especially how they were bounced from the tournament last year. They're going to want to fix these things on offense, get better. But I think for the fans that are holding their breath and worried and reading the rumors and are on all the, the blogs right now, trying to see, oh my goodness, is Tennessee going to give up hope here? Are they going to trade him away? that's not going to happen. I think A.J. Brown is going to remain a Tennessee Titan for a long time once this deal just gets wrapped up.
Dianna Russini of ESPN is our guest this morning on 104.5 The Zone. She's been all across television and national radio all morning long, and she's good enough to give us some of her time. And by the way, you can read more about all of the wide receiver contracts and all the discussions had around these major names at the diary.bulletin.com, where Dianna does more great journalism on top of the journalism she's already doing on television, radio, and the internet whenever she has the time, between being a full-time mother and all these different things. I don't know how you have the energy or the time to do all this stuff, but we very much appreciate the content.
I'm currently taking a nap. You just don't realize it.
She's holding it together very, very well. So if just, speculatively, if you had to look at these three major names, DK, Debo, and AJ, as to who will get the contract next, or Terry McLaurin for that matter, because I think DK Metcalf is still very much up in the air as to his future. Who does it seem like it's trending towards getting that deal done? Because typically here in Tennessee, John Robinson does those kind of extensions closer to training camp right before July. It's been Derek, Tannehill, Lewan, Byard, all of the major names that have received those big second deals.
Yeah, no, well put and well laid out there. I think if there's, and by the way, San Francisco does it very similarly as the Titans do as well in terms of timing of when they do these deals, and it's closer to camp. And here's the thing, the sense I get when I talk to the organizations about these players, it's more or less, we've got all the leverage. They've got another year on their deal. And we don't have to be in a rush to do this. So they're going to take care of the things they need to take care of, stay focused on the draft and get to it. But I do think the good news in all this, if this is just my opinion based on Debo and Terry and AJ and DK, the one that gets done first, I actually think will be AJ Brown. I think that deal, because they're already moving on it. It's really just because I'm looking at it as a race.
Yeah.
They're at least having conversations, where in Washington, they're not doing that yet. And it just seems a little fishier to me compared to where I feel like in Tennessee, both camps I've spoken to, it seems cleaner. It seems clearer, and it's going to get resolved. You got to figure the Titans would probably love for AJ to stay off social a little bit. I understand he's trying to express some of his frustrations, and we've seen so much growth from him over the last few years. You've been around him a lot. I've been around him, and he's just such a different person than he was when he first started playing in the NFL. And I almost feel like what we're seeing with Baker Mayfield as an example of, I think when you become too emotional and you share it, it hurts you rather than helps you. And it's okay to, I think, be expressive, and I'm sure he has those frustrations, but I feel like those are things that you leave to your agent. Those are things that you leave to the conversations that you want to have with your head coach, with your GM, if you're not happy and if you want things. And I can tell you there are a lot of players in this league who saw these contracts go down over the last few weeks and called their agents like, I want to be paid just like that. So we'll see how much longer he'll drag it on social, and because I know it keeps fans on their toes for sure.
Well, and honestly, and fan behavior on social media, some of them deserve to sweat it out a little bit with the way that they've, been harassing the athletes on social media, whether it's Debo Samuel putting out his Instagram message about the idea that he's getting racial and death threats and things of this nature throughout the course.
That's ridiculous.
Well, that's my thing, Dianna. Like they're emotional because they are so publicly exposed to people. And what's worse is it seems like they all read their mentions.
It's so funny you bring that up because I've thought that before. If I opened up my public DMs and read them to you right now, I would first of all, I would probably melt down into the carpet that I'm standing on and probably just roll into a ball and want to die.
Wait, I'm sorry. Your DMs are open? Are you insane?
So there's like a public section and a private section. I usually just correlate with the private people who are all like other media members and friends of mine. But once, it's funny, Jay Williams just asked me this morning if I've ever gone over to the other side. And I said, I actually go to it because I've been given information before. Not that I ever run with it as a reporter. I'm like, this, that. But sometimes people will share things about stuff going on in the league, and I've had stuff turn out, or when I dig on it, it gives me ideas. So I'm cool with it, and then I do like interacting with a lot of sports fans. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I get tons of Titans fans that reach out to me, and I try to, respond to as many as I can, as long as they leave out some creepy comments like, can you send me a picture of your toenail, or whatever thing that everyone's into these days. And that's really the problem. But, I think just if you're going to put yourself out there as an athlete, as a musician, as an actor, you choose to do that, and it comes with so much pressure and so much criticism, and unfortunately fans are just, they're exhausting. And you heard Baker Mayfield in that interview when he said he wished he could go up to people sitting at their cubicle and boo them.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine how difficult that could be, or how that is. I make one mistake on television and I think about it my entire drive home. But at the end of the day, I can't talk about that constantly. I can't make that an issue in my performance. And when Baker revealed that to me immediately said, man, this stuff is wearing on him. And I think it wears on everyone, because everyone's a human being. But I think if AJ and Debo could just sound out the social, and it's hard because these guys, I know you're really young. I know you're like 19, but I'm a lot older than all these guys. And sometimes I think they're at such a disadvantage, because they don't realize sometimes, because they're caught up in it, how stupid it can be that some guy named Bob that lives down the street, who's a diehard Titans fan, is tweeting at you that you're selfish. Bob doesn't even understand how it works, and Bob can't even walk to his car without being out of breath.
There's so much truth to that, but like that's I guess, because it's not going away, Dianna. Like, we've been through this with Debo and with Kyler, and now with AJ just removing the word Tennessee from his Twitter bio and all. I mean, we're covering this because it's a part of the news cycle, whether it's locally here or nationally on ESPN, the way that you're doing it. And it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. And I guess, I'm going to ignore the shot about me being 19 years old, only because I've looked like I'm 45 since I've basically been 19 years old. But at this point, like, I recognize the behavior, because I've done that. I've overshared on social media, and the advice that you've just given out, it applies to so many different elements of it, whether you work in sports like we do, or whether you're a professional athlete. Like, there are ways to handle this, and I feel like that, whether you want to call it professionalism or just that wall that separates them from the people that follow them and are chirping at them like this, like, I think it's all but evaporated, because somebody's going to do a podcast, it's going to go viral on YouTube, and I'm going to watch you talking about it on SportsCenter the next day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mike Greenberg, the host of Get Up, he's a Hall of Fame broadcaster. He is without a doubt the most talented person I've ever been around. This man can do anything. And the second question he asked me on live television today was, can you please give us an update on which receivers have scrubbed their social media accounts? And this isn't a knock on Mike. This is what people care about, because it does send a message. And that's the part of this that's so interesting, is while as an older journalist now, I can reflect on it and think, this is so dumb. Like, I was talking about on television and the radio today that my single friends do this, where they date somebody for 6 months. They post every picture doing every single thing you could possibly think of on their Insta stories, on their Facebook, on their actual feeds.
Yeah.
I feel like I know so many people's relationships inside and out. I know their parents. I know everything. And then they break up and they just delete them, and they just go away forever. And I guess that works. But I look at it with AJ and Debo as, with them scrubbing their accounts, I look at it as they don't have control. So it's almost like therapeutic for them. Like, if I can just erase it, and look, maybe the fans' reaction to it with a lot, just like in my mentions, with so much of the bad, there's actually some good in there, and it makes you feel good. But the problem is you can't do that. Buck, I had one of the best conversations with Jimmy Garoppolo, of all people, when it comes to social media. It was actually right before the NFC Championship game, and I really wish that I was asking him more questions about football, but whatever. We were chatting during warm-up, and Jimmy was coming into that game after a week of criticism. I don't know if you remember. He was getting scorched About
sure.
how,
Mina, our friend Mina Kimes got dragged
yes,
across the surface of the sun by.
yes, and she essentially said the Niners don't need him, right? They should move on from him. It was something, just taking a look at his stats, and she crunched all the numbers, and she laid out a fantastic argument, and it is what it is. So here he is getting ready for the NFC Championship game, and I said, Jimmy, how do you block it out? Like I don't understand how you can do what you do knowing that so many people are talking about you. He said, I know who I am. I don't go on social media to figure that out. And I was thinking to myself, that's a really good sentiment. Like, he's right. If you're going on social to figure out who you are, what you're good at, what you're bad at, then you're lost as a person. And that's basically what he was trying to say, is that's not where I'm discovering who I am. Nobody knows who I am. And it's so true. And I'll never forget it. Unfortunately, went out there and laid an egg and stunk. But I learned from Jimmy that you need to have confidence in what you can do. And you look around, and I feel like social media can be really fun, but the greatest athletes are the ones that's really sounded out and truly stick to that.
Sense of self. It's hugely important. So probably now is not the time for me to admit that I have in a previous life scrubbed my social media feed of relationships as well. Dianna Russini, she's the best. ESPN. She's been on ESPN radio all morning. She was on Get Up this morning as well. You can catch her on SportsCenter. She's killing it. Of course, the diary.bulletin.com is where you can read all of the nuggets that she's putting out as far as reporting is concerned. It's a critical thing for you to have if you're an NFL fan. Go subscribe to it right now. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll wrap up. Talk about this A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill situation. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone.